There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Rarely going where no one has gone before. Welcome to the Captain's Chair, a podcast on all shows in the Star Trek universe on the Fangirl Zone. I'm Sean Fangirl S, and joining me on this mission into the unknown is...
I'm Chief Engineer Steve.
And I'm Redshirt Dave, and today we'll be discussing Episode 8 of Season 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh my gosh. So initial reaction, before I jump in with mine. Steve, what do you got?
This is one of my favorite episodes of the series. This was just amazing. I loved it.
Super
Dave?
Funny. I know we're not rating it, but I gave it 4 out of 5 Mariner stomping horses. A lot of fun and clever.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this was definitely my palate cleanser for the week, and I totally needed it. And I laughed through so much of this episode. So I was definitely like 2 thumbs up. And if anybody needs to watch something, if you want to get them into this show, if for some reason they haven't started it already, I would say this is the episode you have them watch.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, okay, I got to watch all the rest because this is great.
Yes, it was. All right, Episode 8, Accretus. For a
Are you
second,
bragging?
I thought it said Erectus, and I was going,
Oh,
yeah, that would have worked for the title of this episode, too.
Yep.
A consultant arrives on the Cerritos to run drills that require lower deckers and bridge crew to swap duties. Oh, this ought to be fun.
Yeah. Mariner, Boimler, and Tendi and Rutherford are completing some repairs on a satellite and gazing upon a nearby nebula in awe when the USS Cerritos gets a distress call from the USS Bakersfield that they are in a temporal causality loop. The Cerrito enters high warp. And way to go, Carol. Again.
Yes, leave your daughter behind.
What captain doesn't just beam them aboard? I mean,
Right.
beam them aboard. The Cerritos enters a high warp, leaving the 4 behind. Still on the hull of the satellite, Mariner is concerned about how much oxygen they have left in their EV suits, but Tendi predicts that the Cerritos will return for them any second. 6 hours pass, and the Cerritos returned when they realized they had left them behind and beamed them directly to sickbay, throwing blankets over them and treating for a lung trauma. Agree. Carol.
It's like, here's your trauma blanket. So
Yeah, I know. It's like the end of the Boston Marathon. Here's your little foil blanket for you.
I love how they're all like huddled together, like shivering. It's like you're not exactly sharing body warmth, but I totally expected Mariner to just look and it to cut out to be like, son of a, and then like cut out. Oh, it was so good. Dr. Tiana continues to treat the 4 ensigns, and Mariner angrily criticizes Freeman for leaving them behind, resulting in Ransom telling her that they would have not left them behind if they'd assigned out their mag booth as per protocol. Excuse me.
What difference does that make?
Send them out there?
Yeah.
Apparently not.
The orders were to go out there.
Yeah, but who put them out there then?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Because, Mariner's like, it wouldn't have mattered because you see Lower Decks as disposable.
Mm-hmm.
And Freeman, of course, rebukes this claim, saying that she's forced to make life and death decisions every day involving the crew before telling Mariner to lose the attitude as they have a Starfleet drill instructor visiting the ship later for a crew test. And I don't want you to potentially hurt scores. Excuse me? Hell no.
Yeah.
I would be so mad. I'd be like, you better put us in the brig because this is going to be bad. This is going to be so bad. This is going on your permanent record. The crew reports to a giant room filled with simulator holopods and are greeted by a Pandronian named Shari. I don't know how to say this name. Is it Shari Yin Yem?
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know. She just kept saying this one. So I didn't know what her name was. She gives them a brief motivational speech before telling them that the crew will enter the pods and be tested in situations that previous Starfleet crews have experienced, and that each test has an amount of points that can be earned. This doesn't sound good.
No.
Because I feel like somebody's going to go over the top. Yum tells them that to better evaluate the readiness of the crew, the ranks of the crew will be switched around, with the ensigns being tested as high-ranked officers and senior officers being tested as ensigns. And at first I'm like, yeah, you're going to put them out to fix something and watch their ship like zip away from them?
Right.
Maybe
Yeah, that would be the first lesson.
That would be great. Maybe Freeman wouldn't be so smart aleck and rant. The crew starts to enter the pods in excitement, eager to experience what it's like to be in command. As Freeman and her senior officers believe that they'll pass their test easily, since the duties of lower decks will be very simple. When she said that, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
that is so wrong.
Yes, it is.
Hey, Carol's 3 for 3 so far in this episode.
Mariner enters her pod and is given a scenario where she finds herself in the mirror universe and must find her way back home. I was cracking up with some of these simulations.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, over the top. But at first, Mariner gets immersed in her part, but decides to try and deviate from her objectives, hoping to infiltrate the Terran Empire and dismantle it from the inside. However, as she decides to try this, the test docks her points from her score from deviating from the mission parameters. Oh, so apparently there's no individual thinking on anybody's part. Got it.
Right.
Mariner encounters the Terran counterpart of Boimler.
It's funny.
I love how they just have the little beard.
Yeah,
Like,
the goatee and the chest hair.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. She salutes him, but he immediately realizes that she saluted him with her left hand. And since the Mariner of their universe is right-handed, he sees her as an imposter and has her arrested. Like, really? But he does this weird breach.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what was that? And
That's
what
from
was with
that's
the
from a horror
bird?
movie.
Yeah.
That's
What
the
was
horror
with
movie
the
with the
bird?
pod people where they screech at you when they discover you're really a human.
Oh, okay. And what was with the bird doctor guy
Yeah.
with like the Falconer hood? I'm like, oh my God, what is going on?
Like some S&M pet.
Yes.
Anyway, Boimler pulls out an agonizer, and, well, the test ends in failure for Mariner. Big surprise. I kind of figured Mariner was going to fail because of her little attitude normally. But Tendi enters her pod and is told to assist a paralyzed Klingon in a ritual suicide. And I'm like, oh, this is like out of Next Gen.
Yep.
Like, oh, okay, she's going to be able to do everything. But, well, Tendi tells the Klingon that she's not allowed to cause harm, which causes her score to be docked. Seeing this, Tendi pulls out a hypospray, ready to give him a quick, painless death. And the Klingon demands that she use his ceremonial blade. When she objects, there goes that score again. The Klingon is furious, and she's refusing to honor his culture. But that's not exactly what she's trying to do. She's just confused. So he tries to take his blade back, but falls off the bed. And then we have two nurses run into sickbay and ask, why is this Klingon not dead yet?
What?
What?
I know.
This is confusing. And they begin to try to assist him in death, but the Klingon's backup organs begin to heal him, and they give up, much to the Klingon's dismay. And they finally call time of life.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And how he
Tendi
broke his back
apologized.
in the first place. Bending over to pick up a peanut, he broke his
A peanut.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I love Tendi's face. I think Tendi's face is probably everybody like, what is happening?
Maybe on the Klingon homeworld, peanuts are the size of anvils.
Hey, that's a possibility.
Yep.
Let's go with it. Well, as Tendi apologizes, the test ends in, well, failure. Big surprise. We go back to Mariner, finding herself in the Old West town in her next test, and immediately gets points deducted as she tries to go to the saloon. Well, more exact, tries to walk to the saloon.
Yeah.
She looks over and she's like, oh, we're mounting horses. Okay, I can do this. She's super confident because she's taken lessons in the past. She climbs up, but then the horse gets agitated and bucks her off and, well, tramples the hell out of her, resulting in another failure. That was funny. Like, it was just bah, like going to town. Crap.
That was like a Grundy thumping by
Yes,
Rick.
absolutely. And having my issues with horses growing up, I definitely
Oh,
sympathize with Mariner.
poor Becky.
Yeah.
Then we get to see Rutherford. Test put him in engineering to refit the Constitution-class starship where the warp core is in the process of a breach. Rutherford moves to try to enter the warp core area to stop the breach, but the handle of the door is super hot. It burns his hand due to the radiation. Rutherford gets an idea to take off his boots, cover his hands, and open the door, and is successful, but unfortunately it took him too long, and, well, the ship goes boom, resulting in his failure.
I like that guy in the background. This should be pretty easy.
Right.
I'm just thinking, why isn't he wearing gloves? Why?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, this was, Wrath of Khan all over again?
Yeah.
And then we come to Boimler. Now, who of us thought Boimler was going to fail? I did not think he'd fail. Did either of you?
No.
No, not at all.
I just figured he was going to get, over the top with stuff. And, well, I wasn't wrong.
No.
Because Boimler's put in a test in which he must fight off the Borg and escape a Borg cube. Boimler successfully fights off the Borg drones and makes his way through the cube before coming upon a chamber of Borg babies. However, he chooses to enter a shaft above the chamber, which leads him to a room with a Borg sphere that he can use to escape the cube. The test ends with him passing and a woo, or was it woohoo? But Boimler is unhappy that he only scored a 79. And this is where almost a time loop begins.
Yes.
Eager to do better, he asks if he can take the test again. The computer warns him that if he gets a failing score, he'll be locked out of the test. Undeterred, Boimler restarts the test. And I kind of felt like the computer saying that was telling us something.
Track? The fix was in, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, any failure, you're locked out, so you can't go back in. So that guarantees that you're more than likely going to have more failures than successes.
Good thing he's obsessed.
Yes.
So we see it start again, and he fights off the drones. Upon fighting the Borg babies, he takes them with him before escaping to the sphere. But it only raises his score to an 83, and he's like, nope, gotta do it again.
Yep.
I like how he ties the babies to himself.
Yeah, it's like, oh, somebody could have used baby Bjorn. He retakes it, rescuing more babies, along with a couple drones, and he only gets a 1% bump to 84. Boimler is getting frustrated and tells the computer, restart the test. And I'm like, wait, you start seeing the darkness under his eyes. I'm like, oh, he's getting mad too.
Yeah.
Somebody's a perfectionist. We have Mariner about to start her final test. Oh my God. I don't know if I can do this one. It's when the entire crew has been affected with polywater intoxication. While she's not enthusiastic about the nature of the mission, she tries to pump herself up and enters the mess hall to see the crew completely naked, involved in basically a huge orgy. Mariner tries to ignore it, and I was gonna die.
Yeah.
And talk everyone out of their outrageous behavior, but it's unsuccessful. Because then she sees Boimler. Oh my God.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Showing off his genitals. Yeah, we'll say it that way.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what the?
Yeah.
But it causes Mariner to run out. And I'm just thinking, uh-oh. Wait, is she gonna start thinking about this? And is that how we're gonna get what we've talked about?
Right.
She's gonna end up making out with Boimler and it's not our Boimler. It's William.
I hope so. I hope it's a tease.
Oh, I don't think Boimler was much of a tease in that moment. Just saying.
No, for the upcoming.
But
plot point.
Mariner runs out and sees Steve Stevens spanking Ransom and saying, oh my God, I can't get through this. Saying things like, I don't know where you end and I begin. All while holding him on a leash. It's like cheese and rice. This moment, I had tears. I was crying.
Yes, absolutely.
We have a naked Shax run out and then Tiana clinging to him, which only makes it stranger later.
Yes.
When we see them. And I'm like, there's a lot of scratches on him. Holy shnikes. What have they been doing? But unable to take the lewd nature of the test anymore, Mariner runs to an airlock as she's screaming, fail me, fail me, fail me. Send me back to the Western. I love how she just hits the airlock and no longer caring about passing and just oh, sweet death. She floats away. As the test ends, the ship's average score falls to a 37.
Pretty low.
Oh my God. I was just crying though. I could not believe this. And then it happened to go to a commercial when we were watching. And I think I laughed through the entire amount of commercials because it took that long for me to try to come back to normal.
Right.
This was just so over the top. I loved it. And it was weird because a friend of mine happened to text right at this time or, on Facebook is like, oh, I think I'm totally Boimler. And I'm like, oh my God, which one?
Yeah. The real one.
Weird, real fast.
So in Freeman's ready room, Mariner, Tendi, and Rutherford are all enjoying a fancy meal, but distraught that they all failed their test so horribly, and never thought the command duties of the senior officers could be so demanding. Mariner wonders where Boimler is, and Rutherford replies that he heard he was still taking his test.
I love Tendi's all like, what is this that I'm eating?
Yes.
Excited about that though.
Mariner speculates that he probably failed like them and is just too embarrassed to admit it. Now, Boimler is still in his drill with the Borg, retaking the test again and again, altering his approach each time, managing to score as high as 94%, placing him in the top 10%. But he's still unsatisfied with the score and continues to retake the test. Perfectionist much? Mariner doesn't like to admit it, but she admits that the senior officers' jobs are harder than they thought, though Tendi replies that they're probably realizing that their jobs are difficult as well.
Right.
We're about to find out. In the lower deck crew bunks, Shax is taking a nap while Ransom stretches, and Freeman talks about how easy it is to be in the lower deck, noting how all she did was stand in the back of a banquet all day. Tiana notes how all she did was stand in the transporter room until someone needed to be transported somewhere.
I was getting so mad at them.
Yes.
As they're sitting there and they're like, oh, look, and these are great. Yeah. I'm like, oh, no.
Ransom wonders why they even bothered ranking up. Freeman notes how the cramped showers and limited selections from the replicator is a small price to pay for their simpler job. Tiana also...
Once they learned it was a group shower, too. I wonder how she put up with that.
Exactly. Tiana also notes how she likes the close quarters of the bunks before cuddling with Shaq.
Right on his butt.
Yes. So that's the scene with them previously was probably closer to real life than the infection.
I
should have put it in a box.
Yes. They all rest in their bunks, but as they nap, the ship's red alert alarm, which is positioned above their beds, take them by surprise. They enter a holopod and begin a test involving a Klingon encounter. They're instructed to support their commanders and find themselves in a cargo bay as the ship shakes from the supposed attack. Commander enters and tells them to stop goofing around and to stack the crates in the cargo bay.
I love how what he's wearing too keeps changing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Freeman is dumbfounded that in the middle of a Klingon attack, their job is to stack crate, which is made harder due to the hexagonal shape of the crates themselves and the continued rocking of the ship under attack. Yep, every time they get a few stacked, boom, they come down again. The commander comes back and asks if they've seen Q anywhere before running off, screaming of a Jemadar attack, ignoring Freeman's pleas to help.
That reminds me of the original Star Trek. And every time they were in a storage area, the fake things would just roll across it. They were probably just plastic barrels.
Right, absolutely.
Made it look, and every time they got into a fight, the plastic barrel would roll across the stage.
Well, they had to give you an idea of the ship moving and bouncing.
Right.
Which I love. That's why they have the hexagonal crate.
Yes.
Create stuff like that.
Shaq successfully manages to stack a small wall of crates, but it crashes down as the ship rocks again, resulting in the test ending in failure. For the crew's final test, a joint exercise between the senior officers and the lower decks crew will be simulated on the bridge.
This is only going to go well.
Yes. They are instructed to steal the Cerritos from space dock to save Spock from the Genesis planet. Mariner takes the command chair and has Ransom get them some coffee before instructing Freeman to take them out of space dock.
He didn't even grumble.
Yeah.
How do you want it?
He sure thought about it, though.
Yeah.
As they approach the doors, Shax gets up and starts to stretch.
Oh, my God.
as his back hurts from sleeping in the cramped quarters of the lower deck.
Maybe it's because Tiana was sleeping on you.
Yeah. All those scratches on his back. However, as he continues to stretch, Mariner is reminded of how he looked fully naked in her final test and is visibly disturbed.
He keeps thrusting his butt out.
Yeah.
All I kept thinking with that is going back to The Simpsons with Sexy Flanders.
Yeah.
When he's in like the ski suit. He's like,
Yeah.
stupid Sexy Flanders. It's like wearing nothing at all.
Freeman speculates that she's remembering her bad experience with the horse, which angers Mariner, and she tries to send Freeman to the brig. Of course, the two start to quarrel and pay no attention to the test, resulting in their ship colliding with the space doors and ending the test in a failure in a record time.
That was great.
Yeah, fighting over
Like, wait, we
who's
didn't even
controlling
get
the
a score.
ship. Later in the lounge, Freeman and Mariner are at the bar having a drink, distraught that they didn't even make it out of space dock. And they apologize to one another, realizing that they never truly realized that each other's duties were so strenuous. With a newfound respect for each other's work, they notice a new sense of camaraderie with the crew as the senior officers and lower deck bond and laugh about their performances in the test. And it leads Freeman and Mariner to realize that the tests were odious with the intent on making the crew better understand what their fellow officers go through. So Freeman and Mariner head to Yim's office and tell her they figured out that her tests were only meant to bring the crew closer and that moving forward the crew will show more empathy and appreciation towards one another. You only
And maybe
thought
not
so.
leave them stranded out this, void of space.
Yeah. However, as they say this, Yim just laughs and shows them their failed grades and says that they won't be moving forward at all.
Like, oh my God, we have a villain on board.
Yes.
Yeah. I love the way her head keeps popping off.
Yeah.
Yim continues to laugh and says that their scores are way below failing and that she intends to have the entire crew reassigned. Evil. She also reveals that the drills are only purpose were to preserve her job at Starfleet, as her drills are easily passed by the crews of other ships and Starfleet was beginning to question the necessity of her job. To fight this, she deliberately targeted the Cerritos and rigged the test to be harder in an effort to show Starfleet that the drills are still necessary. Freeman tries to get the crew to do more drills and improve their score, but their entire crew has been locked out of the test due to their failing scores. There's nothing they can do to improve them. She's about to submit the finalized scores when Mariner notes that the one test is still active. Yeah, the obsessed guy.
Yeah.
Boimler is
Wait.
still... What?
I was going to say, why was she talking about them being a California class and it being so bad on a California class?
They're a small ship. She wants a Constitution class ship.
Right.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Boimler's still in the drill with the Borg trying to get a score higher than 98%. And Yim wondered what he's still doing there, but he notes that one of the passing grades will not save their scores. Realizing that if the drills aren't finished, the scores cannot be finalized, Mariner contacts Boimler in the holopod. Boimler is about to finish the drill, having finally achieved a perfect 100% after saving most of the Borg crew, beating the Borg queen in chess, and teaching her empathy. Was so funny. But I beat the Borg queen in chess. Freeman orders him not to finish the drill, and Mariner tells him that Yim is trying to deliberately fail him, that as long as he's in the drill, she cannot finish until he finishes. Understanding Boimler continues to interact with the drill despite its lowering his score to 99%, much to his disappointment. Freeman and Mariner rush to the bridge as Yim wonders what they're trying to do since they're delaying their finalized scores and torturing Boimler in the process. Small point there.
Yeah.
Freeman expresses faith in her crew and noting that despite them being on smaller and more insignificant ship, the crew is tougher than most. Is that what she said? He's one of our most capable officers?
Yeah.
Yeah, which I feel bad because Boimler will never hear that.
No.
Becky did.
Yeah. That's right.
She'll
Becky
tell him.
did,
Well, maybe
so-
she won't. Freeman Yum boasts that she's read all about life on a starship, work in space, and doubts that they're any more reliable than any other crew she's tested. Freeman notes that Yim has read all about it, but has never really experienced it in person. They reach the bridge, and Freeman orders Tendi to make a long-range scan for any potentially dangerous anomalies. Let's go. Mariner notes a Tetryon wormhole, a quantitation radiant stream, and numerous crystalline entity sightings in the immediate area. All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Freeman orders Rutherford to set course for one of the entities. Yim notes how the entities is in her drills and is eager to see what they intend to do. Boimler is running Is that when she said they're getting frisky? The two of them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Boimler's running through the Borg drones and running out of places to evade them, and he finds himself face to face with the Borg Queen. He asks how her empathy is, and she says she was able to assimilate it.
Of course she was.
Yeah. After this, two Borg drones take Boimler away, and he screams about his score. The Cerritos reaches a crystalline entity that is feeding on an unstable nebula radiation. It's like biting into it, like with a giant head. Yeah. And Yem is a bit unsettled that the entity is much bigger than she thought it was. Freeman orders the shields to be raised and orders Rutherford to take them closer, much to Yem's discomfort, since in her drills, one was not allowed to approach the entity. Aha. They ignore her protest and get closer. Tendi notes that the shields are holding, but detect transphasic energy close to the perimeter. Freeman orders a closer look, causing more protests from Yem. The Cerritos is then caught in electromagnetic resonance belt, and Freeman notes their dire situation. Back in the holopod, Boimler is strapped to a table and scared by the Borg Queen approaches him and gently blows on his skin. That's what they always do.
Yes.
I was like, we're going to see some weird Borg Boimler action.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
This is actually on my bucket list, too. Never.
Yeah.
The Borg calls Boimler a remarkable creature, and he nearly passes as human, which makes Boimler say that he is human. This takes the Borg Queen by surprise, and she recommends that he drink more water, as his skin isn't in the best condition, but decides to have him assimilated despite his protests and having hay fever and acid reflux. Yeah, he tried everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. I might mess up everything with all of this.
On the bridge, Freeman orders a gravitation pulse to be fired so they can escape the crystalline entity, and takes her time to give the order, much to Yem's terror. The Cerritos escapes the crystalline entity with ease, and Freeman orders for another scan for something dangerous, hoping they can find a black hole. Yem asks why she's doing this, and Freeman says they'll keep doing this until she changes her score. Mariner notes a black hole feeding on a temporal rift nearby, and Freeman orders a course for it. Yem angrily says that she can't be blackmailed at the expense of the Freeman's crew, and Freeman only says that her crew does this kind of work on a daily basis, and that they will be engaging dangerous anomalies until she changes her scores. Now she's acting like a captain.
Yes.
The Cerritos approaches a temporal black hole, and they begin to experience numerous distortion. Yem panics and screams for it to stop, finally thinks she will change her scores. Because her head was bouncing off.
I wouldn't say wasn't like all three parts of her body bouncing everywhere.
Yes. It was hilarious. She shows her passing scores, and Freeman orders Rutherford to get away from the black hole, and Rutherford effortlessly stops the ship from spinning. Yem is confused to how easy it was to get away from the temporal black hole, and Mariner notes that was just a regular black hole, and Freeman notes that Yem should have known the difference if she wasn't a fraud for her job, vows to mention that in her own report. I'm like, when I heard her say that, like, whoa, don't push your luck.
Yeah.
You're on the top now. Mariner tries to contact Boimler, but that he can leave the drill now, but he gets no response. He has been completely assimilated by the Borg by this time. Outside his holopod, Shax notes that he can hear Boimler shuffling around inside the pod, and Free calls him out to call him out, but Boimler replies that he is excretus of Borg.
I honestly thought he was going to come out with Borg parts on him.
Yeah.
Because he was too into it or something.
I know, little tinfoil and everything. Ransom orders Andy Billups to get Boimler out of the pod, and Billups cuts the door open, causing an exhausted Boimler to fall from the pod. Dazed, but back to his normal self, he asks where he is, and Freeman tells him the crew owes him a debt of gratitude. Mariner approaches him as he laments about his assimilation and guides him to the lounge so they can have a drink. As he leaves, he asks if he got a perfect score, and Tenny says, he did. Despite actually getting a score of 8%. At one point you did, Boims.
Yep, before you had to say the crew, he did, so.
Yeah, that's 2 episodes in a row where Boims has come up with the ultimate solution here and come out on top.
Yes.
Boims is the man.
Look out, he's going to get promoted again over.
I hope they do.
Mariner.
I hope they do. I thought the same thing, that she's going to make him a lieutenant. Oh, that'll be something.
Yes.
And then he'll get his own quarters, and that's when Mariner will give him a visit.
Yeah.
But it'll really be William.
Oh.
Anyway, we go back to Freeman, and they're talking about Yem resigned to Starfleet due to on-the-job stress, and Mariner knows how it feels good to ruin the career of a jerk. Freeman agrees, but notes that there is only one thing she managed to show them. At that moment, Shax and Tiana wheel a new replicator into the mess hall that is programmed with the senior officer menu codes, believing that as the lower decks crews are constantly facing danger, they deserve better food. Pesto.
Yeah.
Boimler eagerly asks if it makes a lobster mac and cheese with breaded top, causing Shax to tease him that the Borg didn't take away his appetite. As everyone laughs at the joke, Boimler laments how the Borg took everything that he was.
It's like, oh, that's so sad. He's like, take the Capri. Oh, Boimler.
Oh no, poor guy. That was funny though. It was super funny. All those babies strapped to him and stuff and dragging on. So I got a few Easter eggs and some boomer talk maybe. Shari and Yem is the second Pandronian to appear in Star Trek after Ari Ben Bem from the eponymous Star Trek the Animated Series Bem. Her outfit is nearly identical to the one worn by Bem. And these people do their research.
Yes, they do.
Several background characters are given names for the first time in this episode, including Arjun, Castro, Dahe, Merp, Pandara, Ross, and Volus. The Andorian, who was formerly known simply as Jennifer or Jen, was given a last name as Sharan. A hologram of another crossover character, the Borg Queen, appears in the episode performed by the character's original actress, Alice Krieg. Love her. Much of her appearance recreated for Boimler mirrored Data's experience with the Queen in Star Trek First Contact.
Oh, yeah.
Even with the blowing on the skin.
Yeah, and the hair stands up. He's like, ooh.
And not realizing that he was human. So, yeah, it was playing out just like the scene with Data.
Isn't this like the second episode that somebody has talked about Boimler's skin being so bad and
yes.
water?
Oh, maybe that's why they should have noticed that when Becky ends up in the lieutenant suite with William.
Yes.
He'll say, "Why didn't you notice my awful skin?"
Oh God, that's a good setup, though.
Yes, it is.
Back in the Next Generation had an episode called The Naked Now too.
Yes.
So good Easter eggs.
Yep. Well, Jazz graced us with her thoughts on this episode again, so let's take a listen.
Hello, this is Jazz with a season review of Lower Decks, Season 2, Episode 8. I saw actually a extra feature where they discussed that they used the training director, their species, as an homage to the original episode when they actually had that character in the first place. It was on the original series, and he floated around in bits and pieces and probably tried to knock off Kirk and Spock. But I thought that was, a nice, really old Easter egg, I suppose, if you watch the animated series from the end 70s, I think. But overall, I thought it was typical to see everybody else sort of getting along with their higher-ups, and Boimler being the odd man out and trying to figure out if he belonged anywhere. I thought it was poor form for the Hawaiian people to accept him and then not after they all figured out they were Moonies. And then, oh, that's such a horrible thing for you to say. You wouldn't say that if you were from a moon. And I'm just like, really? Just stupid people were annoying. But I guess that's typical. I thought that it was nice that at the very end, they're all like, why don't we spend the day together next time? And that'll work out. I love the fact that Rutherford was able to calm down the Papa Bear, because for whatever reason, he was having issues talking about Bajor, and he was able to get him down to a calm, serene area, so I thought that was good. And they had some mother-daughter time, and that worked out very well, instead of them always having conflict. I liked that. The animation looks very good. The voice acting was top-notch. Sometimes there were some issues with What If with that. And I generally enjoyed it very much. Thanks very much. Bye.
Well, thank you, Jazz, for that wonderful feedback.
I was wondering what the voice acting problems she had. I'm thinking of was there a problem with some of the voice acting? Like what?
I think she was having it synced with the anime. There was some issues in the first couple of episodes in What If, I think. So
I missed it. What if I missed it?
Yeah.
And annoying people annoy everyone, Jazz. Trust me, Steve and I have been in retail for a long time, so we know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it was kind of unfortunate that Boimler got treated the way he did by by the Moonies.
The Moonies.
I feel like Boimler always gets mistreated. Poor Boimler. I just want to give him a hug.
Yeah.
He takes the wrong tact. He wants to close. Yeah. I don't know if he doesn't have confidence in himself. Well, I'm sure that's it. He's always second guessing himself, but he can't learn to be real. He has to come up with some affectation to be something he's not. And then, of course, he gets rejected because he's not being real.
That is very true.
Okay. I didn't go to college for nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
You leave my Boimler alone.
Yeah.
Wait, that sounds like a whole different show.
Right. It was good to see that Rutherford was able to bring Shax down after his Bajor invasion.
Yeah.
by Boehm. So that was good to see, because I was afraid Shax was just going to rip Boimler up.
Yeah, it got a little dicey there for a minute.
Yes, it did. And hopefully we'll see that Boimler will get more credit going forward, as he basically saved them all anyway because he didn't leave the program.
Well, we knew he was a little over the top. Come on.
Yes. Well, as always, Jazz, it's great to hear from you, and looking forward to hearing from you again.
Thanks, Jazz.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on each and every episode this season. Our deadline for feedback is 6 p.m. Eastern every Friday during the season. You can send your feedback, be it email or audio, to contact us at fangirlzone.com.
Please review and rate us on iTunes. Good ratings and reviews help other fans of the show find us, as there are a lot of Star Trek Lower Deck podcasts out there. Tell your friends, and I hope you like our podcast, and don't forget to check out the other great Fangirl Zone podcasts.
As always, you can go over to www.fangirlzone.com, check out our contacts tab for all of the ways to get a hold of us other than just email, because we are everywhere and we love to hear from you. And of course, we want to hear any kind of Easter eggs that you picked up, because there's so many that goes on in so many of these episodes that these guys are good and they catch basically everything, but there's always something else out there.
Sure is.
Yep.
The ninth episode is on October 7th, and it's titled Multiple Question Marks. Ha ha ha. So until then, we still don't know. Remember,
this is Chief Engineer Steve. Oh, yeah, that's right. Boimler's the Boydman.
This is Sean Fangirl S. I'm going to the saloon.
And this is Redshirt Dave. As Naked Shax would say, I'm in the mood for some black hole.
Oh.